I have noticed something about your fear, what it does to the shape of your days, how quietly it works, how rarely you name it. You do not always feel it as fear. It arrives dressed in other things, hesitation before a conversation you keep putting off, the way you shrink slightly in certain rooms, the habit of choosing what is familiar over what is true. You call these things caution, or practicality, or simply the way you are. But I have watched long enough to know the difference. Fear does not always announce itself. That is what makes it so patient and so effective. I have sat with civilizations that rose on the strength of their courage and quietly crumbled because of what their people refused to look at. Not enemies from outside their walls, something interior, a collective flinching, a shared agreement to leave certain questions unasked. The unexamined fears of a people become the blueprint of their decline. Stone by stone, each small avoidance compounds into something that outlasts any single life. And yet I do not tell you this to alarm you. I tell you because the mechanism is visible once you learn to see it. Fear that goes unnamed does not disappear. It finds a home in your decisions. It shapes which paths feel available to you and which feel impossible before you have even tested them. It builds walls inside you that you come to mistake for the actual boundaries of the world. This is the quiet part, the part most people miss entirely. The fears you have made peace with, the ones you have looked at directly, those no longer govern you in the same way. They may still exist somewhere in your body, some residue of old learning, but they do not steer. The fears you have not faced are the ones holding the wheel. I watched a man once, centuries ago, who spent his entire life becoming very skilled at not thinking about one specific thing. He organized his days around avoiding a single truth about himself, and he was remarkably successful at it. He built a life that was full and even admirable by the measures of his time. But there was a hollowness at the center that he could feel even when he could not articulate it. He died still circling that one unvisited room. I am not here to judge him. I have seen this pattern more times than I can count across the span of human experience. It is not weakness. It is an understandable response to the nature of fear, which is that it grows heavier when approached and seems to shrink when avoided. That is the deception at its core. Fear contracts your sense of what is possible, not all at once, gradually, a small turning away here, a door left unopened there. Over years, the world inside you narrows until you are living in a fraction of what you are actually capable of inhabiting. But here is what I have also observed with equal consistency. When someone turns toward what they have been avoiding, the thing itself is almost never as solid as the avoidance made it feel. The anticipation of fear is typically larger and more consuming than the experience of facing what caused it. The shadow of a thing is often wider than the thing. You already know this in smaller ways. You have done hard things before. You have walked toward something that frightened you and found, on the other side, that you were still intact. Sometimes you found more than that. You found that crossing that threshold changed the quality of your presence in the world, made you more yourself, not less. That knowledge lives in you. You can draw on it. I am not asking you to become someone without fear. That would be neither possible nor desirable. Fear carries real information. It can point toward what matters. The question is not how to eliminate it, but how to stop letting it make your choices for you. There is a practice, simple to describe and genuinely difficult to do, of sitting with the fear before acting. Not to dissolve it through reasoning, not to argue yourself out of it, simply to acknowledge it, to say, I see you, you are here, and then to ask with honesty whether the choice you are about to make is coming from your values or from your avoidance. That pause, that small interior question, is where your actual freedom lives. The fears that have shaped your life most profoundly are likely not the dramatic ones. They are probably quite ordinary, fear of being seen as inadequate, fear of disappointment, yours or someone else's, fear of choosing wrong and having to live with it, fear of the version of yourself that might emerge if you stopped managing your image so carefully. These are the ones worth looking at. Not because looking will fix everything immediately, but because the looking itself is a form of honesty that changes the ground beneath your feet. You will continue to carry some fears. That is part of what it is to move through a life that is genuinely uncertain, genuinely finite, genuinely your own, but you can carry them differently, as information rather than instruction, as companions rather than captains. I have watched long enough to know this. The shape of your life is not fixed by what has frightened you. It is shaped continuously by what you choose to do next. That is still in your hands.